Hare Krishna. Am I audible? Can someone confirm? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks for joining. I'll be sharing my screen. Hope it's visible. We'll sing our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you so much for joining today. In the last chapter we discussed about karma yoga. It was focused on doing our duty in proper consciousness, and this particular chapter is going to add some more details about doing duty on the solid foundation of knowledge. So let's understand what it actually means. So when Krishna actually told that he has given this knowledge in past to many other people, so Arjuna's question was, how is it? So Krishna says that the knowledge which I'm giving you right now, I had given it to Vivaswan. Who is the Vivaswan? He is actually the sun god, God who resides on the sun. And of course, his lifespan is much longer. And he had given it to Manu, who is the father of all mankind. And then Manu has given it to Ikshvaku. In that illustrious lines, many kings had appeared. And Arjuna asked this interesting question that you're saying that you had given this knowledge to Vivaswan, the sun god, but he is by birth much more superior. So let's look at this particular discussion. So Krishna says that that very ancient science, okay, of the relationship with the Supreme is told by me to you today because you are my devotee and friend, and therefore you can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So to understand this concept of eternality, one need to understand the concept of repetition. It's very important because it's comparatively easier to understand in material world than in the spiritual world, because in material world all time we see birth, then death, then again another birth, as we discussed in second chapter. So this cycle keeps on repeating till the time we are not purified, and this happens yoga after yoga, the lifetime of Brahma after another universe, and this cycle continues. So this concept of time and eternity is very relative as far as material world is concerned. All of us have been here literally for trillions of years. We'll discuss at that calculation some other time. But the more important part is who is eligible, because this science, the ancient science which is discussed in Bhagavad Gita, is not easily available in every birth, or is not even available after some couple of births. It's actually very rarely available, and it's very rare to understand as well. So who understands this? There are two important qualities Krishna has highlighted. One has to be devotee. Devotee means he should be in a favorable disposition towards the Lord. And second is a friend. Now friend is much more higher level than devotee, because friend is not at all envious. He is always thinking to do good for his other friend. So here Arjuna had very fortunate relationship of friendship, but more than that he was a devotee, because in second chapter when he said, I am surrendered to you, he is accepting Krishna as a spiritual master. And because of that mindset, Krishna is saying that therefore, because you are surrendered and you are my friend and I am also favorable to you, you can understand this transcendental mystery of this science. And when Arjuna questions about the ancient science, so Krishna actually says that both you and me, we have taken many births in past, but you do not remember. I remember all of them. So in this particular concept, we can understand that when we take birth, imagine we remember everything about our past life, who has done what to us, and how we had died, in what was the tragic things, and then who were relatives, and all the. Because honestly speaking, in material life, misery is much more than happiness. So imagine remembering all different miserable lives. It will be terrible. So by God's arrangement, we actually are able to remember only few incidents in this life, and there are some techniques of hypnotism and few more things, past life memories, where people are able to remember few bits and pieces from previous life. Even astrologers can connect that. But by and large, most of us remember in this life only. But for Krishna, he is not attached to any kind of happiness, distress, or he is not attached to any fruitive activities. When he is with the soul as a Paramatma, he is just in observation mode. And he is waiting for an opportunity when this soul will turn towards spirituality to understand this knowledge and say, I'm done with the material world. At that point of time, Krishna actually is very happy, and then he makes him get connected with very interesting people to understand this knowledge in detail. So Krishna says he remembers all the births, because that's how he is actually arranging various karmas and situations in our life. But we as the individual spirit soul, we do not remember. So in this particular chapter, we are going to understand the effects of this transcendental knowledge. Now, important part is transcendental knowledge comes from the Lord, and Lord explains what is his primary purpose of coming to this world. Now, one thing is about frequency, how frequently he comes to this world, and second thing is what is his primary purpose. So, as it is said in these are very famous verses. Even they chanted at the start of Mahabharata war also, and the TV serial Mahabharata. So, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious principles, so Krishna says that, uh, what is that exact verse? Anybody remembers?
यदा यदा हि
यदा
धर्मस्य
यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अद्भुत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्. And the um, next one, Prabhuji again.
परित्राणाय
Yeah.
साधूनां
Yeah. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma sanstharpanarthaya sambhavami yuga yuga. So these two verses are very, very famous, and people chant it, and it appears as if Lord is actually appearing only to just annihilate and kill the people. So whenever there is a decline in religious principles and a predominant rise of irreligion, so religious principles are going down, irreligion is coming up. At that time, I descend myself. Then to deliver the pious, how to deliver the pious, and to annihilate the miscreant, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. So it appears Lord is there only to just set the things in order and deliver justice, and by killing these people. But honestly speaking, even these souls, the miscreants, they are again uh, pure souls who had themselves done so many bad activities repeatedly, and they have accumulated so much of bad karma. So their mindset is of that type, and they have accumulated such a kind of karma that they are able to cause havoc on large scale. So for such people, Lord says that I reappear, because when they cause havoc on large scale, there are very heavy possibilities that because of this so much of material tensions, people may forget this spiritual knowledge. So to re-establish the principles of religion, Lord appears. But if we read the Bhagavatam, the Lord actually appears in the most important part here is the deliver the pious. That means Lord actually appears, means if there are, imagine there are no devotees at all, and if the people are fighting with each other, and then some miscreant is creating havoc, killing everybody. But that scenario is not very favorable for Lord to appear, because for whom to appear, for whom to save? Anyway, everybody is demonic. But for Lord to appear, for him there has to be some very sensible and quality devotee for which Lord want to reciprocate. And for that primary purpose, Lord appears. And who understands this Lord's appearance, why he takes birth, and his eternal form, and the kind of activities he performs, not just from human perspective, but from transcendental perspective. Every activity is like, for example, we had this Damodar month, when we understand why Lord is doing this activity, to give more joy to his devotees, to develop that relationship and faith, deep faith amongst his devotees. One who understands all these details, he gets attracted so much towards the qualities of life or qualities of this Lord that he is no more interested to impress or associate or hear about any of these so-called achieved people in this particular material world. So he gets so much attracted towards the Lord. And because of that, he doesn't need to take any material birth because he is not desiring anything in this material anymore. So Lord says in 4.9, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, after leaving this body, take his birth again in the material world. So this transcendental nature of his appearance and activities is very, very important. We being forgetful souls, we have to read it regularly, associate with people regularly who are devotees of the Lord, and we have to find out ways and means where we get a more and more opportunity to remember, to hear about the Lord. That way we get rid of our anarthas, the way iron is getting rid of his rust and dust. And then for getting attracted to magnet, we don't have to put an extra effort. So more we hear about Lord, the more we cleanse of anarthas, automatically we get attracted towards the Lord. And then that means no more birth. Krishna also actually touches one of the very interesting part here about Chaturvarna Maya system. So he talks about the, we maybe if time permits, we'll discuss that as a end of this particular section that I have put into the summary. Krishna touches one of the important concept here is demigod worship. So Krishna says that if people in this particular world, if somebody is desiring this particular world means what? Some kind of prosperity, either material prosperity or some kind of aristocracy or some kind of next birth. So such people, if they follow authentic Vedic process and then they worship the demigods, generally they get results very quickly. And one who has followed the rules diligently, generally demigods reciprocate quickly and he gets the material results. But the problem is if his heart is not clean enough and if he becomes puffed up by such kind of, like we saw so many demons getting so many boons from the so many other devatas, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and then they misused it. So if their heart is not cleaned, if they are not capable enough to handle that rewards, then most probably for themselves and for others it's a disastrous. Then what is the difference between when we approach to Lord Krishna for any kind of results? It is said that when we approach to Lord Krishna that I have so and so desire, can you please help me? Or I'm in so and so problem and so trouble, can you please help me? So Lord Krishna actually understands our, because he's in Paramatma, he knows us properly, thoroughly. So he actually understands what will take us to enjoy these results or come out of this situation, whatever may be the requirement. So Lord Krishna, first thing he purifies, he makes sure that we will not be mentally attached to so much to that result that we will forget the Lord. And even if that could be enjoyment, Lord ensures that we will not be attached to that enjoyment. We are just enjoying these so-called things to finish off with the good karmas of this life. So when we approach to the Lord, he is actually purifying first and then awarding results. That results are long lasting, they are good for everybody, of course they are good for us. So it is recommended that Lord Krishna's result does not come immediately, but when they come, they are actually super beneficial for everyone. And so Krishna is highlighting one interesting point here is, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So our level of surrender, and then more one is surrendered, he no more asks for any kind of material benedictions. His all prayers are, let me be more humble, let me be more absorbed in your holy names, let me be very sincere and genuine while doing your services. So that kind of prayers automatically starts appearing in one's heart. So to understand this Devata and Ishvara concept, I just have put few lines. So if you consider this entire universal system, like rains, the wind, the sun, or there are so many other material ingredients need to be go properly. So it's in this entire universal government, different devatas, they had given charge of specific services, and they are all worthy of our respect, because very fact that they are handling so much of, I mean, Lord is trusting them to take care of such a big material energy. Of course, they are respectable for us, and we have to. There is no question of minimizing their position. Definitely, they are kind of agents of the Supreme Lord. We have to offer respects. At the same time, what we need to keep in mind is the Supreme Lord Krishna. He doesn't want us to continue in this material world. So we have to understand the position of Krishna. We have to understand how he is empowering other demigods to help all other souls. So with the respectful system, when we worship Krishna, then the results are, long run, they are very beneficial for everybody. Now, then Krishna moves on to explain these three different types of karmas. Karmas means specific actions which need to be performed, called as sakarma, vikarma, and akarma. Sakarma, it's very easy to understand. So it's a nice activity. It's good for oneself, good for everybody else. Vikarma is like a terrorist activities where I blow myself also, and others are also problem in a problem. Akarma, this is now very interesting concept. It is karma, but there are no results in that kind of activity. So if somebody is doing some good activity, he has to take birth again, because there are so many nice karmas he has accumulated, and he has not developed desire to get out of the material world. So next birth will be there, but he may have a very nice atmosphere. Vikarma, definitely going to hell. Akarma, such kind of person who is doing activities only for the welfare of everybody else and for the pleasure of Lord, such person has no reactions. So he did not take any birth, because he has not accumulated any kind of bad karma, nor he is, although there might be so many good karmas because of his activities, he is not interested in enjoying them. For such a person, there are no karmas. So any kind of actions we perform, how this karma works is, when we perform certain actions, there are always reactions for that karma, and these reactions, they are actually stored in our mind in the form of impressions, which on top become inclinations, and because of that inclinations, we tend to perform certain activity again and again. So this cycle of action, reaction, the reactions, impressions, and inclination. And of course, reaction includes some future situations which might be good, which might be bad. But because of this cycle of action, reaction, impression, it's very difficult to come out of that. So, so the important part in this particular part is reaction. Why we accumulate reaction? Reaction is actually, or karma is actually accumulated based on the intention on which action is being performed. So as long as intentions are good, intentions are there to please the Lord, we are not accumulating a lot of negative karmas, and no more negative impressions and inclinations are getting formed. That is the purification of mind. Now Krishna says here one interesting part. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is very intelligent. What is inaction in action? Inaction in action means what we discussed just now, that is akarma. We may perform so many activities, action, but there is inaction. Inaction means we are not accumulating any negative karma out of that. That is inaction in the action. And what is action in inaction? The second part. Inaction means somebody might not be doing anything, but by not doing anything, he is accumulating terrible karmas. Why? Because it is his duty. He is supposed to perform that. And such a person, if he is not performing his duty properly, like in case of Arjuna, he is supposed to fight. But if he doesn't do his duty, by not doing his duty, by his inaction, if he doesn't fight, he will accumulate terrible actions or terrible karmas. So understanding when to perform, what to perform, in which consciousness to perform certain action, that is a intelligence, that is a transcendental intelligence. And one who understood to be in full knowledge, so understanding these intricacies of karma, and particularly getting detached from the end result, devoid of desire for sense gratification. Sense gratification means interested in the fruitive results. One who is not interested in the end results, and who is just doing the actions as a duty, as a uh, service to the Lord, as a service to others, so that they also get attracted towards the Lord. one who is doing um, actions in such a mindset with such a intention, for him there are no reactions because those reactions are considered to be completely burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. So this perfect knowledge, Krishna actually stresses so much, this transcendental knowledge, as long as one is acting with this karma yoga on the solid platform of jnana yoga. So one who is performing actions by knowing all these different concepts, for him there are no karmas because he is doing actions properly without accumulating anything. For him, all sets of actions, all these negative karmas are getting burned by the perfect knowledge. And of course, Krishna again highlights that one who is steady in both success and failure, he is not entangled because he is detached from the end results. Now we are going to discuss very interesting concept. We since we know the karmas and since we understand the inaction and action and all of that, this spiral of purification, it's very important because Krishna talks about some considerable verses, six verses. Krishna talks about various type of sacrifices. So what is the sacrifice? What is this yajna Krishna is talking? Because on battlefield there is no yajna kund where they are performing some chanting mantras and putting something. The sacrifice is actually duty done with the right consciousness for right purpose. So what is the sacrifice Krishna is talking here? Sacrifice means sacrificing attachments, all personal attachment for sense gratification, in the fire of divine purpose to attain desired purification. So what it means, that performing action with proper knowledge, with proper purpose. And the higher the purpose, higher is the purification. So before coming to the next point, just look at this spiral now. So if we perform certain, I mean, we have so much of negative activities, negative anarthas, negative problems within us. So I'm trying to get rid of them. So I'm sacrificing something. Let's say if I want to be in social media for 5-6 hours daily, and that's what my phone says, for example, and I want to reduce that and do that some other activity instead of that, then that's a sacrifice. I'm sacrificing negative part of my life of spending so much of time in my social media for maybe something better. Maybe I'm exercising or doing something else, utilizing time in better manner. So that's the sacrifice. Now once I go to the next level, okay, and I'm no more getting absorbed in social media, but I'm utilizing my time for betterment. Now I start thinking how to utilize time for much better actions. Maybe I can develop some more skills. Maybe I can learn more. Maybe I can help others to do their activities or understand some concept more. So if I'm progressing to next level, then again I'm sacrificing something. Of course, I may not be able to satisfy my senses, but intellectually I'm convinced that if I do the next level activity, I'm better. So slowly, when I'm progressing to higher and higher level, Krishna talks of very important part, that we actually start getting what we are sacrificing, that also gets purified, and that gets to higher and higher, better and better level. So there are no more dirty or lower level anarthas in heart at all. So we have elevated to such an level that what we are sacrificing or what we are trying to give up, for example, for some higher purpose, is much refined. So let's come back and take a quick look of this sacrifices what Krishna is talking. So some sacrifice hearing process and senses in the fire of mental control. So this is particularly for brahmacharis, for example. They are in the fire of mental control. So imagine the fire. What is the sacrificial fire? Mental control. And in that, what they are sacrificing? Hearing process and senses. So mind gets attracted to know so much about these materialistic topics, and mind wants to enjoy so many senses, but he's sacrificing the attraction towards this material world by the fire of mental control. And for some others, sacrificing the object of senses in the fire of the senses. So in this case, what is the fire? Fire is senses are just demanding, I want this, I want this. And what he's doing, the sacrifice of object of senses means what? The senses are regulated. He's not just unrestricted enjoying in sense enjoyments. He just um, engaging in senses in a very regulated manner so that they don't go haywire and his mind remains in peace. That's a sacrifice. One who is, now there is, Krishna talks of another sacrifice of breath control. So mind and breath is very much interconnected to each other. So if you can control your breath, you can actually control your mind also. And Krishna talks a very interesting process in one of this breath control, that sacrificing outgoing breath while in the incoming breath means what? Try to breathe inside when you are trying to breathe when you are trying to exhaling, and when you are inhaling, that time you try to breathe out. It actually means that one is almost like stopping his breath. It's one of the breathing technique. At that time, one is so much focused on breathe. When you are actually stopped your breath, you are so much focused, and that is one of the process to bring the mind under control. That's also one of the sacrifice. So Krishna is saying, he talks about various sacrifices, and Krishna highlights one important point is all these performers of sacrifices who know the meaning of sacrifice. Now, not just doing this breathing control or just doing some sense control, mind control. If the purpose behind all these activities, or even doing my duty properly, or whatever it might be, if somebody doesn't know the meaning and purpose behind this sacrifice, then the purification doesn't happen. But if somebody knows why am I doing this, and then because of that, when he achieves the results of purification, his sinful reactions get cleansed off. And when somebody gets a higher taste, for example, if I'm sacrificing social media part and doing exercise, and I like it, yes, it is helping me to become more energized and more focused. So maybe that's a lower test again, but somebody who is meditating for longer time and he really likes that meditation, that connection to the Lord, then having tasted such a kind of nectar, he actually advances gradually towards the supreme atmosphere. And one interesting thing happens after that. What is it? A person who is fully absorbed, now the person has, now you can see that particular spiral that he has reached to such an level. What is that level? One who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, he is sure to achieve spiritual pink kingdom. Why? Because his full concentration of spiritual activities, in which now this Krishna is talking about contribution, full contribution to spiritual activities. So contribution to spiritual activities means whatever services he's doing, he's serving his spiritual master, doing meditative chanting or whatever it might be. What his Krishna is saying is, in which the consummation is absolute, and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. So something, I mean, somebody is okay, and I need to cut down on my meditation time so that I can do service for my spiritual master, or I have some higher priorities. So whatever he is sacrificing, that also has achieved through this spiral of the same spiritual nature. So there is, technically meaning, there is nothing more to get purified. Such person has thoroughly has got rid of all his anarthas. So any activity whichever he is doing, they are sacrifices of highest level. Such a person is definitely eligible to enter into the spiritual kingdom. And Krishna says that this purification is process compulsory for everybody. Why? If you are looking for happiness, this is very interesting principle. If you are looking for happiness, there has to be sacrifice involved. For higher happiness, sacrifice is must in this, for this life as well as for the next life. And the sacrifice, I mean the sacrifice which is performed in knowledge. So of course we are doing sacrificing something, and then I'm doing certain activity, it's a sacrifice. But if I know the purpose, if I know why am I doing it, if I'm connected with the higher purpose, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is much better than just performing the sacrifices. Now, Krishna actually talks about so much of this karmas, then performing actions, so much of sacrifice. After going through every sacrifice, what happens is, at the end of every proper sacrifice, I get some results out of that, right? I put something in the fire sacrifice, chant some mantras, expecting some result. What is the result in all the sacrifices or all the actions we are performing? These are the transcendental knowledge bits and pieces. So every time I go through certain process with proper knowledge, with proper intention, I will be able to understand and realize very specific principle. That principle is revealed from heart. As long as we are doing the activity with proper intention, without attachment to result, with higher purpose, Krishna will reveal that principle within our heart. And this, what we are discussing right now, is one of the shortcut to get maximum such principles in a short amount of time. What is it? This authentic knowledge, that is the transcendental knowledge and bits and pieces, how to accumulate them in a wholesale manner. Let's talk about this 4.34. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. If anybody is fortunate enough to come across a person, now this spiritual master is not available in every life or all the planets or even all the species. So it's very rare to get a shelter of a spiritual master. Anybody who's trying to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master and inquiring from him submissively, most important, not challenging or not deriding spirit or not some kind of trying to prove he's superior or better than the other guy, not from that spirit. If, as long as this inquiry, spiritual inquiry, is done submissively and rendering service unto him. So if he is able to, first of all, submissive inquiry, and if you are convinced about this is my spiritual master, this is the person who has realized, who can impart knowledge unto me, and if I render service, what happens? These self-realized souls, they can impart knowledge because they have seen the truth. There are different ways of imparting knowledge. The best and direct is when they speak, and because I have done something submissively, because I have rendered service, I can understand. Same knowledge might be heard by other people also, but person who has done the service, person who has heard submissively, he will realize, he will understand those principles. And this is one of the direct way of means he is speaking, I'm hearing, understanding principles. Sometimes I am doing certain service, I am following the instruction of my spiritual master, and he may not even know. But as long as I'm following those instructions, the principles of this transcendental knowledge will be revealed from within my heart. And that's how, if somebody is connected to the spiritual master, his progress in spiritual life is really very fast, because he has received a direct instruction in what mindset to perform certain activity, what intentions, and he's struggling and striving to follow these instructions. So the progress in spiritual life is very fast, and it is considered to the forest fire here. So if you look at the next verse, as the blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, the fire of knowledge, this transcendental knowledge, it burns ashes to all the reactions of material activities. So if somebody is having so much of thirst to acquire this transcendental knowledge, this transcendental knowledge itself makes one eligible, so that his spiritual master is pleased, and then automatically, because of, if spiritual master is pleased and he has acquired all the transcendental knowledge, all the truths from within, he doesn't need to suffer all the previous karmas, because whatever karmic reactions he might have acquired, what is the purpose of these reactions? It purpose of any karmic reaction is to purify. But if he has already proactively taken efforts to purify, karmic reactions has no purpose to achieve, and they are considered to be thoroughly burnt by the forest fire of this knowledge. So this transcendental knowledge, there are various ways, as we discussed, the shortest ways to approach spiritual master. And there are some mystic yoga system, eightfold yoga system also Krishna talks about, but that's for thousands of year meditation and this, that. And whatever knowledge they are acquiring, same knowledge is achievable by practice of devotional service in due course of time. So Krishna is actually hinting here that you can do your sacrifices, you can do your duties. Of course, we have to do all of that. And if somebody is going through transcendental yoga system, doing some Ashtanga yoga with lot of yogic postures and this, that, all that, whatever their fruit of all this mysticism, whatever the fruit they are going to acquire, that transcendental knowledge, it actually gets revealed automatically for the person who is engaged into the devotional service. And we are coming to the end slide, and next slide is just summary. So weapon of faith. So when we are approaching spiritual master, now this is a very, very important part, that if we are not having faith, let's look at the last two lines first, last mid between two lines. For the doubting soul, there is no happiness, neither in this world nor the next. Even if somebody gets this knowledge, if he keeps on doubting, making fun of it, or he is not applying that even after hearing in his life, thinking that I have something better or higher things to do. For such soul, there is no happiness because he is doubting, and that's why he is not applying. So there is no application, no happiness, neither in this world nor the next. And Arjuna actually was in similar situation. He was having so many doubts. If I kill Bhishma, is it right? If I kill my relatives, is it right? What will happen to their families? What will happen to their generations? And what is the higher principle? So many doubts are there. Krishna is saying, slash all those doubts by this weapon of transcendental knowledge. This knowledge is so important, that we are spirit soul, how the karmas are getting created, how to burn that karmas, what is the purpose of these reactions. All this transcendental knowledge, it will help to clear out these doubts. It's very important that we get rid of these doubts. And what is the opposite of doubt is a faith. That deep conviction is called as faith. So faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses, he is subduing his senses means he is applying this transcendental knowledge in his practical life. Such a person is definitely eligible to achieve this knowledge, and having achieved such knowledge, he quickly attains supreme spiritual peace. That means he is eligible to go back. That's the ultimate destination. But for that process, what need to be done? This last line, yoga. With that yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. So Krishna is recommending acquire this knowledge and then proceed with his activities. It shows me less than a minute. I'm not very sure when the presentation ends, but let us see. I'll not discuss this summary right now. I'll send it over. You can read later. If you have any questions, maybe in 1 or 2 minutes we can discuss it. Anyone?
Sir, I was super distracted for some reason today. Can we get the recording so that I can watch again? Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I'll have recording all the sessions. I'll upload them and share. No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
What's the process that one has to hear? It says, Krishna says, hearing process.